Hello and welcome to Broken Entertainment. So today I really wanted to focus on really showing you what I mean when I say the Renaissance is here. More people have more access to the ability to create and publish and put out works of art and creativity than ever before in our history. It's easy to say, but it's also easy as a creator to get into this funk where you're like, oh, I'm never going to make it. I can't do this. This is too hard. There's not, even when I do it, it's not going to work. It's not going to make any money. It's not going to be sold because you get inundated with this. I don't want to call it propaganda, but it kind of is. This traditionalist propaganda of, oh, the best way to do it is to go through traditional publishing. The best way to do it is to go and get this and do it the old fashioned way. But the numbers don't back that up. And you'll have people tell you with self publishing, well, the average self published book only sells a couple of copies. Oh, well, the average self published author doesn't make any money. Oh, well, if you self publish, you got to do all the marketing and blah, 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 blah. Not mentioning that if you traditionally publish, you also have to do all that. Oh, the average comic book creator who goes indie doesn't make any money. Well, I have some statistics that we're going to go over that prove that to be false. And first, though, I want to start with 3D printing. I don't have the stats on 3D printing off the top of my head, but we're used to a handful of companies controlling what models are out there, what game systems are out there, and what's available to play. We're used to being told what to pay, where to buy, so on and so forth, but you don't have to do it anymore. And this is my miniature factory. It's, I think, the best platform to get these miniatures off of. There are others, but it consistently has some of the highest quality creators. Now, you can subscribe and you get benefits. Then you can go to each individual creator and also subscribe to them. And it's kind of like a streaming service, but for 3D printable miniatures. Or you can not subscribe to any of them, and you can go, I'm going to pick this one here. You can go and say, hey, I just want to buy these orc bikers. Now look, understand this. These are good quality models. These look nice. Obviously fit a certain aesthetic. And you're getting fully modular models, 42 bits. You don't get that through the major games company anymore. Oh, who that is. Games Workshop doesn't like creativity anymore. They want you to, this is what the model kit comes with, therefore this is what you're allowed to use. You are not allowed to convert. Please don't do that. Don't build anything new and unique, which is all stuff they used to promote. If you go here, 32 millimeter, you can scale that down. 6 sculpts, so you're getting a squad of 6 guys, and you're paying $10 for the files. Now you print that out, probably cost you another, let's be generous and say 10, but it's probably going to be closer to 5. And you've just paid $20 for a squad of 6 orc boys that guarantee you, on bikes, that I guarantee you does not cost that from Games Workshop. That's probably 2 to 3 times more from Games Workshop. And although these fit the aesthetic, you can see they're unique. They're not just straight up clones, and you're seeing more and more. If you go through, this is just a list of creators. A lot of very unique stuff where people are saying, I'm going to make what I want to see. I'm going to make stuff to sell that I want to see out there that I haven't seen. Or, I want to make stuff that fits this army, but in a way that I haven't seen reflected before. And there's people making statues. There's people making all kinds of stuff. Costume pieces, you name it. And it's all out there. These are all individual creators. They're not major companies. There's a few companies on here, but by and large, they're not huge companies. Okay, I'm kind of curious what this is. Forbidden Prince. Training stuff. Okay. Um, this is all out there. You don't have to go the traditionalist route to get your models anymore. And personally, I don't. I have two 3D printers. I'm looking at getting a third. I print my stuff because, I mean, the monetary difference is huge, right? And there's some really neat stuff. I've never bought files and said, man, I wish I could buy the Games Workshop stuff. A lot of times I'm saying, man, this is better than what's out there. You know, you go to, I think they're on here. Yeah, Heroes Infinite. You know, you go to a place like Raging Heroes and look at this stuff. You know, here, I'll just click on this one. This is a huge model. $10. Then here's... Oh, well, here, let's go to my personal favorite. This giant-ass airship. Yeah, it's $40. It's huge. I don't think they have a scale picture on here. I'm subscribed to them, so I know relatively how big this model is. It's gigantic. Gigantic piece of art. They don't usually charge this much. You know, $40. You're probably talking, if this were a Games Workshop model, you're probably looking at $200. And these people are all out there. This is a small company. So you don't have to go that traditionalist route. Now, I started out talking about books, so let's go to books. These are the stats from 2022 as of February. 30 to 34% of all ebooks sold are self-published. 300 million self-published books are sold every year. 1.25 billion worth of self-published books are sold each year. Amazon pays $250 million in royalties to self-published authors each year. Only 1% of audiobooks on Audible are self-published. I expect that to change. Audible makes it pretty easy to get your audiobook out there. I think most people just don't realize that. It feels like a pipe dream to people. 67% of top-rated self-published books are written by women compared to 39% of books that are traditionally published. That's hilarious. Because the traditional industry is on Twitter night and day. We need to have more women. We need to have more minorities. We need to have more of this and this and this and this and this. And look at the numbers. 67% women for self-published versus 39%. So they can yap all day about what they want to have out there, but they're not putting in the legwork. They're not doing it. They're not finding awesome stories by women and minorities and publishing them. They're just, I don't even know what they're doing. Because on Twitter, they're out there constantly saying, oh, I only want own stories. I only want, women. I only want this. But then you're like, I mean, the numbers don't lie. So what's going on, traditional publishing? What's going on? The global publishing market is expected to grow by 1% CAGR per year, whereas the self-publishing market is expected to grow 17%. The number of self-published books has increased 264% in the last 5 years. 300 million self-published books are sold each year. So we already covered. This is just kind of breaking down numbers some more. Self-publishing platforms pay up to 70% of each book sold to authors. Self-published authors do not receive in advance and have to put up the cost of self-publishing. We know that, of course. Independent authors who sell their books on their own website receive up to 96%. The average self-published book sells 250 copies. The average self-published author makes $1,000 a year from their books. 33% of self-published authors make less than $500 a year. 90% of self-published books sell less than 100 copies. So there's some hard stats out there. That's hard, but look at these numbers. Look at this. This is a huge chunk of the market. And it's growing astronomically. And the reason you have these low numbers, when you start talking about 20% report no income, 33% make $500 per year, there's a lot of garbage out there. And that's one thing we need to elevate self-publishing. Put out the best, most professional work possible. Get those editors. Get the help you need. Get, form writing communities. I'm part of a group of people called Uniting Beta Readers and Authors, and that's the purpose of the Discord channel, is to bring together people who are writing and people who want to do beta reading and alpha reading, and so that authors can say, you know what, I need a beta reader. No one's charging any money. There's beta readers out there that the people will point you to. Oh, I charge X amount. No, these are people that do this out of passion. Build these communities, build these writing groups so that you have support. If you don't have the money to pay those editors, maybe you can find some people who are very good at their job who will do it and help you. But put the most professional stuff out there possible. Because there's a lot of people that write garbage. They make one draft, they throw it out there, and that's where those low numbers are coming from. And that's why a lot of people still don't take self-publishing seriously. But the number of people making professionally done books is increasing year over year. More than 1,000 self-published authors made $100,000 last year from Amazon. Of authors who have published their first book in the last 10 years, 1,200 traditionally published authors have earned $25,000 a year, versus 1,600 self-published authors have earned $25,000 a year. Those 1,200 traditionally published authors, that's less than self-published. And a lot of that is probably an advance rather than royalties. 85% of Kindle Unlimited books are self-published. Self-published books account for 31% of Amazon's ebook sales. The numbers don't lie. Do not let somebody tell you, oh, you've got to go traditional. No, you do not. You do not. And you can see from the growth numbers up here, you can see from the percentages up here that the ability to self-publish, the ability to say, you know what, I'm done begging somebody to publish my book, I'm just going to go do it. It's at a level never before seen in human history, and it's only going to keep growing. This is an incredible time to be an author. Do not, if you are trying to get published, if you are working hard on a book, do not let people tell you it can't be done. Do not let people tell you the odds are bad. Do not let people tell you self-publishing is a joke. It's not. I just showed you the numbers. And if traditional publishing was doing so well, why do Simon & Schuster and Penguin Random House want to merge? Mergers don't generally happen when things are extremely healthy and competitive. Sometimes they do. You have a big company like Disney going out there just throwing money around. But in this instance, that's not what's going on. These two would be 70% of the traditional publishing market. 70% from two companies. Think about that. If traditional publishing were healthy, wouldn't you have more traditional publishing companies? Wouldn't you have people like Brandon Sanderson not even looking at self-publishing? He's already done it. Wouldn't you have people like Chris Ferracchio not looking at self-publishing? Oh yeah, he's already done that too. Wouldn't you see somebody like Brandon Sanderson not making Dragonsteel an imprint through which they can publish? The traditional market is unhealthy. The traditional market is growing, as you saw, 1% a year. If two companies merging together gives you 70% of the market, what does that tell you? The merger would reduce the so-called Big Five of publishing, which also includes HarperCollins, Hatch Book Group, and Macmillan, to four. The announcement was not well received and drew intense scrutiny from the government regulators. Yeah, there's a shocker. The literary Leviathan would have 70% of the U.S. literary and general fiction market, and Stephen King is against it. You might as well say you're going to have a husband and wife bidding against each other for the same house. It's kind of ridiculous. Remember, 70% of the market. You know what else that means? You have somebody powerful enough to control 70% of the U.S. market telling authors what they're allowed to make. Is that the kind of market you want to enter? Or is this the kind of market you want in? And finally, let's go over to comics and some other stuff. This covers a wide range. This is Kickstarter has their stats available online, readily accessible. A total dollars pledged to Kickstarter projects: 100,000 million billion, $6,783,402,000. 225,073 successfully funded projects, 82,323,633 total pledges, 21,306,461 total backers, 7 million repeat backers. This is almost all individuals. There are companies, but this is almost all individuals. We don't have to put up with the traditional crap anymore. When you go and see a movie and you're like, God, that was terrible. You know what? You don't have to put up with it. Go check Kickstarter. Go check Indiegogo. Go check YouTube. There's people out there right now, independent people making great film. Forget Hollywood. You don't need them. They need you. And they don't like you. Just in games. 70,239 launch projects, 1.97 billion total dollars, 1.85 billion successful dollars, 677 live projects, success rate 45.78%. Technology has the lowest success rate. That's not terribly surprising. Film and video, 38%. You have 81,000 projects, 532.61 million pledged. Publishing. Now, publishing is hard, I think. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around how you would put together a Kickstarter campaign to publish a book. And most of the ones you look at out there, it's probably not the best way to do it, but if you can come up with a good campaign, it really helps you cover those costs, for sure. And I wouldn't rule it out if this is the route you're considering. Self-publishing is the route you're considering going. It's certainly something I've been thinking about. But 36% success rate, 297.38 million. That's great. Okay? That's great. And on top of the self-publishing numbers. Music, 50% success rate. Fashion, 30%. Not surprising. Again, food, same. Look at this. Comics. So, originally I wanted to cover comics in here, and I said, I'm going to go to Rippaverse. He's making like 3.4 million. But that's a whale project, right? That's something that's exploded and done incredibly well, and it's great. But it doesn't really make the point that I'm making of you don't need traditional anything for entertainment anymore. If you want to support it, indie stuff is out there. If you want to make it, here's places you can do it. Here's ways you can do it. Here's a look at the market to understand just the very basics. You can do this. It's out there, and it's growing exponentially. Comics, 22,335 projects, 184.19 million, 64% 0.22% success rate. 64% of 22,000 comic projects on Kickstarter are successful. Indiegogo also has a lot of comic projects. Think about that. You turn to DC and Marvel, and these days they don't have high quality books. Other smaller companies are going under. They're not doing very well. Comics in general in the United States is doing very, very poorly. Now, people will point you to the numbers and say, "Oh, well, no, look, it's made $2 billion this year, more than ever in the history of blah 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 blah." Well, that's because they're not talking about single issue comics anymore. When they say those numbers, they've merged in graphic novels, they've merged in manga, which is a giant chunk of that. U.S. graphic novels don't even breach the top 10 sales anymore. It's all manga. But you can get really good, high quality, independent comics on Kickstarter and on Indiegogo, and you can see 64% success rate. Theater, another 60% success rate. And then you got crafts and journalism are down. Dance, I didn't even know dance was available on Kickstarter, but there it is. All this stuff, independent stuff. Kickstarter is not the only platform. It just happens to have readily available data. But I got to thinking about this because I was feeling kind of down. I'm like, man, I just watched Predator Prey. I didn't like it. Terrible. I have my own struggles with my own creativity of the usual stuff that everybody who is a creative has and suffers from, self-doubt and so on. And I look at these numbers like, my God, look at all this. Look at what is out here. You can do it. We can all go a different route. And the problem with our broken entertainment, which is to say traditional entertainment, the problem with traditional publishing, Hollywood, you name it, the passion is gone. The risk-taking is gone. It's all been watered down. You have to be perfectly politically correct to do anything. You have to push certain agendas. You have to... that's why you get so many superhero movies, because they're successful. But Hollywood's afraid to try something different. Because, well, we just want to make the automatic money. Traditional publishing, guess what? They want to make the automatic money. If they have to choose between you and Brandon Sanderson, they're going to take Brandon Sanderson every time. But that's a false choice. You don't have to beg traditional publishing companies and agents to take your book. You don't have to hope that your book is politically correct enough to not get canceled and shut down by these people. Because they've done that to minorities. You don't have to hope that somebody reads it and they're like, oh, I really like this, and they just happen to be willing to promote it. You don't have to hope that your series idea sells enough money that was arbitrarily given to you in the first place that the traditional publishing company wants to pick up the next book, or you're up a creek. You can just go out and do it. Take control. It's hard work. It takes time. But it's there. There's the numbers. Go do it. Forget Hollywood. Forget traditional publishing. Forget traditional comics. And if you're not a creator, go support these people. If you're tired of watching movies and think, God, I just don't like this, find something indie. Because indie people are taking risks. They're taking chances. They're saying, this is my passion. Do you know what came from an indie creator with a passion project who took a risk? Star Wars. That stuff is there. Somewhere out there right now is the next Star Wars. Somewhere out there right now. Or it's being written. Because all of the passion, all of the risk-taking has fled the traditional companies because they're all afraid of social media. or they just want the easy money. Of course, the easy money's going down now, isn't it? We just saw, I don't have the number off the top of my head, but we just saw that for the first time, Marvel movies aren't doing as good as they used to. Interesting. Star Wars made a bunch of money with The Force Awakens, and then every single project since then has made less. Because they're not taking chances, they're not taking risks, they just want to go a certain way. And you're supposed to follow along. But if you're a content creator, go out and make it. Forget them. And if you're looking for something, if you're not a creator, but you're a fan, you want something to watch, you want something to read, you want something to listen to, you want a comic book, go out there, find the indies. And I'm going to do my best on this channel to highlight indie creators more than I have been and really put them out there and push them. But this stuff's out there. Forget what everybody's saying in defense of the traditional stuff. You don't need it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Ring the bell for notifications, and I will see you next time.